was actually born in Florida, and I spent almost the entire 18 years of my childhood there, the only exception being I did spend a little bit of time in Georgia. I did sign up on the delayed entry program. My birthday, over the almost exactly midpoint of the summer, got to enjoy a nice birthday party and send-off, and exactly a week later I shipped to basic training, and that was the beginning of my adult life. I went to basic in Bravo Company 150. You know, I did my 14 weeks, graduated as an infantryman, and went to airborne school, suffered an injury in airborne school, so I got redirected to go to Schofield Barracks in Hawaii, which was my first tour of duty, my first duty station there. Hawaii was great. If you ask soldiers who are out processing, it is almost a universal rule that they're really ready to leave. We call it island fever. They don't generally like their time there, but I loved it. And so my first year there, we did a training mission, lasted about a month in Thailand, which was one of the high points of my military career. I really enjoyed that. I had signed up wanting to travel a lot. Because I got pulled for emergency leave there, I have the very unique experience of, I got to spend a day in Bangkok, mostly unsupervised. It was a very eye-opening experience for a 19-year-old. Came back, and a couple months later, we shipped to our first tour in Iraq. All of my deployments are kind of what we call Goldilocks deployments, meaning not a lot of combat, not a lot of high danger situations. There were certainly a few. It wasn't completely nondescript. As far as actual contacts, I did have a couple. We took sniper fire from a hotel one time, and we had to maneuver on the hotel. We started clearing rooms, but they were long gone by the time we got there. The only time that deployment that I discharged my weapon, I was on a security watch. A group of people pulled up in a car down an alleyway that we were watching because we were in a government building, so it was 4 or 5 stories high. And they popped out of there. They fired what I'm assuming is an AK at my position. It hit above my head on the overhead cover that we had. I just dove under the cover for where I was at. Waited a second, popped up, saw clearly the guys trying to draw in accurate fire on my position, but I was able to draw on them a little quicker. I could tell that I hit the vehicle, so they scooted off. I didn't hit the driver, so we went down, did our site exploitation, where we saw some blood trails, but I'm not sure if it was a KIA or if it was just an injury. We never got a resolution on the end of that one. My second year in, my second to third year, we deployed to Baghdad. And Baghdad was at that time fairly calm, and it stayed fairly calm, but it was still much more active than my tour in Kirkuk was. While we were out on patrol, right around the halfway point, about 6 months in, that was the time that became kind of a close call. We took a mortar round that landed, couldn't have been more than 20 or 30 meters away from myself, but it happened to be on the other side of a berm. There were a bunch of fruit trees that were there that caught on fire, and it kind of spread rather rapidly. We just happened to have a former firefighter in our unit there who organized us and had us start doing what's called a back cut to prevent the farmer's house from burning up in this fire. While that was going on, our first sergeant and PL platoon leader, made a very good audible in using that structure fire to leverage the farm owners who were there in order to get more information from them. Actually got us some of the best information that we had all year. Probably the best thing that happened out of any part of my military service certainly was not getting to stay in Hawaii and instead shipping to Fort Drum, New York. I have a tendency to cut up when there's downtime and try to make people laugh and stuff. And one of the people I managed to make laugh was my future wife. I thought she was really cute. I asked for her number. She gave it to me, but then got nervous and didn't answer the phone that weekend. And I normally have a policy if a girl doesn't answer the phone after a couple of attempts, I just let it go, assuming, they've moved on. But I decided to roll the dice and call her again on Monday. She agreed to go out with me the following week. We did, and now we're celebrating our 18th year together now, this year. You get a lot of awards in the military for just being there, but every once in a while you also get awards for stuff that you do that's, particularly meritorious. We call it impact awards. I volunteered to be the minesweeper, basically running a metal detector to search for IEDs ahead of formations. I ended up getting a hit on it on literally my first outing of using the mine detector. In this case, it was a very big object, so I knew it was something worth investigating. And my first sergeant was, he wanted to maintain the timeline that we had for the mission, so he was kind of pushing us to continue along. But when you're in the military and you're what we call the SME, the subject matter expert, it's on your onus to stand your ground when you know you're correct and it's the right thing to do. And so I told my first sergeant, I'm like, no, absolutely not. We really need to investigate this. This is definitely worth investigating. So he relented, somewhat out of character, but he relented, and we dug it up, and about not quite 6 feet down, we found a large meat freezer that we pulled up, and it was completely jam-packed with IED making material, which, if I'm not mistaken, was the largest single cache of IED making material that we had found that year. My squad leader and platoon sergeant put me in for an award for that. My time in the reserves was in 2008, so the housing market it had just crashed, and I had some trouble finding steady employment. In my off time, and one of the jobs that I had was dog training. So they had a rare opportunity to send one person per platoon to go to bomb dog school. And I was the only person with any training experience, so I was voluntold to do that. The course is actually really, I don't want to say it's tough. It's not tough in the way that like Ranger School or Air Assault School is tough, but it's tough because the human-animal bond and the understanding between a human and an animal is not something that everybody grasps easily. And as a result of that, it has a very, very high failure rate. But first time passes through the whole course, there were only 2 of us in the class that did that, and I'm proud to say that I happen to be one of those 2 that never failed any of my exercises in that course. When the opportunity presented itself, I moved on to finally getting a job with animals, which is what I was trying to do and having a hard time finding this entire time. Every time I would put in a series of applications, I would find out what animal positions were open and put in around there, and I never got anything to stick. But this time I did as a dog handler for a pest control company. only took me about a month before they recognized that I had above entry-level skill on it, and they were losing their lead trainer, and so they offered me the position. I took the position as a lead trainer, and didn't really jive with that aspect of the business super well. So due to having quit that job somewhat abruptly, I got into a position as a kennel tech. So basically just the guy who scrubs the kennels and stuff at a local animal shelter. They were losing their animal control officer and offered me the position, which I immediately took up and loved it. I had finally found the job that really suited my strengths and didn't have a lot of things that were difficult for me to deal with. When I saw the position for an animal control officer here for Lansing, I knew that that was the perfect fit. Lansing as a community is interesting in that it's probably the only community I've ever looked at and thought of as an actual community. When I saw that job opportunity come by and it was Lansing, that was actually a big plus for me, where if honestly it said any other village or township, I wouldn't have been for it or against it. It would have made no difference on the job posting to me. The close working relationship I have with the animals, being able to really make an impact in the community, both for the animals and for the people, reuniting them with their pets and making sure that abandoned, neglected, or just in need animals find their way to a better outcome than they would have if handled by somebody who's less invested in it. Those things combine to make this a very high appeal job for me and a very rewarding one.